about steps and processes, and in the groups, it was from a lot of family members or friends of family members who are newly diagnosed for the cancer warriors. So what's the next step? What's the process now is the question. So I'm going to preface with, ask your doctor. Don't hesitate to ask them questions. Make sure that you do ask questions. Write them down, jot them on your phone, take a video of your own self asking yourself questions so that you can remember them later. We do this a lot. We have a lot of notebooks in our phones that are filled with questions. So my advice is sit down, keep all hands and feet in the cart, and enjoy the ride. You're welcome to put your hands in the air and scream if you must, but know that the doctors have officially taken over this ride called cancer. When I first became a caregiver, my oldest son was diagnosed with large B-cell non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, stage 4. He spent well over a year trying to get diagnosed, and it was doctor's appointments, poking and prodding. We really weren't on speaking terms at that point in time. He had called me one day and said, Mom, feels like an elephant sitting on my chest. I can't breathe. I don't know what to do. I asked him if he had spoken with his dad. He said that it didn't really, take with his dad, so he wanted me to help him out, and things got pretty severe pretty fast. So we went to his pediatrician. His pediatrician basically ran blood, poop, tea, hair tests, poked him, everything. The only thing they didn't do was do a CT, MRI, or a PET. Those are the key tests for a lymphoma, I suppose. His symptoms got more severe as time went on. He started running 103 temperatures for average of about 3 to 5 days. He would have partial facial swelling. So his forehead would swell, or his jaw would swell, or something. He was well known to call me when he couldn't walk home. I mean, it wasn't a very far walk from his school bus stop to my house, but it was far enough that if he was tired from a day's worth of whatever, it made him done. I'd have to run home and help him out. So he is a kid that I would describe kind of looks like Ashton Kutcher. And on a good day, he's, probably about 150 pounds wet. He lost 50 pounds, somewhere around there. And at one point, he just looked like a toothpick. I love you, son, but you did. You lost a lot of weight, and you were all skin and bone. So we got desperate. I started taking him to dentists, oral surgeons, because, facial, face bones, you think teeth. So he told me the only person that could help us would be his pediatrician. And so we went back to the doctor, to the pediatrician, and she had told us that he basically, the symptoms that he was having and everything that was going on with him, all the pains and aches, was because he smoked pot. Just so you know, everybody, boys and girls, don't smoke pot. because it makes you run 103 temperature and your face starts swelling. You can't drink. You can't hold any fluids in. You lose 50 pounds because you smoke pot. That's not right. So don't smoke that dirty ass ganja, okay? He had to go back to the doctor. I had told him that I had a meeting. I couldn't go with him. He had to do this by himself. So he had to tell his pediatrician at the age of 16 that he was not leaving her office unless he gave him a referral to an oncologist. And in the not so nicest way, he told her she needed to go back to fucking school, re-educate herself, and learn what really the side effects of pot smoking or the side effects of CBD are. And he would not be leaving that office until he got what he wanted. And if she didn't, he would make sure that everybody in the building knew that she was refusing to assist somebody that was dying of cancer. And my kid is not quiet. Unlike his mother. I'm just kidding. I am really loud. We all know this. But he made sure that he knew. Everybody knew. And he walked out with exactly what he wanted. The only reason I knew that he did these things is because his father later called me and ripped me a new butthole for allowing our kid to speak to a doctor in that manner. I told my ex that when it comes to our kids' health and people are not listening, they are welcome to speak up about their bodies. So, Will Gerald also told me what he did, but I was all on board with what he was doing. So, he got his referral to the oncologist. The oncologist referred him over to an MRI. And from that point, he went over to blood tests, CT, and a PET. So we were running all of these tests, but the MRI came back, and the doctor had called us, told us he wanted to see us before the office had opened. So we came in, and he let us know what was going on, and that he wanted to start Little Gerald on a chemo regimen right away. And so we got the best oncologist in Vegas. He's no longer there, but Dr. B was the best doctor, and he helped us through everything. He has continued to help my son through everything. So he ran his first battle, did his first battle, and actually he is 11 years a survivor. So that was my first battle with cancer, along with my oldest son, who was 16 at the time, is now 27. So now the story time is about to get really long here. So tuck yourselves in, grab a stack, maybe a pillow. Nothing quite as exciting happened when my husband was diagnosed with non-smoker lung cancer. We got a cold, and both of us were sick. We were working in a call center. He couldn't hardly breathe. I was having a hard time, but I got better, and his cough never went away. It just kind of got worse. So between this, we were in the middle of moving from Helena, Montana to Missoula, Montana. And so we were going back and forth, and the VA is at Helena. So we were going there, getting tests done. They did a physical, they made him run on a treadmill, basically. Let's see you run on a treadmill when you can't breathe. See what happens. So then they sent him to the next floor, which is up, I think, on the second or third floor, and they made him get in this chamber and closed it off, sealed it, and made him have an asthma test. And they told us, well, it's not too bad. He doesn't really have like we can't really see where he would need a inhaler, which he was diagnosed because he can't breathe. And so she's just humming and hawing. The nurse is like, I just don't know. This isn't right. I said, well, he's kind of gained a little bit of weight. And could it be maybe a thyroid? Can we do a thyroid test? So the nurse said, yeah, it's worth a look. So she ordered a CT, chest x-ray, and we went in. They did from like chin to here, so maybe like eyeball to here. And a few weeks later, we were in the middle of like packing up our second U-Haul and moving from Missoula to Helena. We were in the middle of it, and we remember we got this phone call. The doctor said, hey, we saw something and we want to run a few more tests. And we just knew. We knew it was cancer. We were told to go to a heart specialist in Missoula, St. Pete's, and we started our CTs, our PETs, all, and then they moved us to oncology. We met with a surgeon. So basically, they see this little blip up here in his upper lung, and they don't know what it is. They just want to make sure. So we're going to go in and we're going to do a biopsy. And they said, it's going to be a couple weeks. I even scheduled with my best friend. I was like, dude, it's like 2 weeks down the road. Come in. I don't want to sit in the waiting room by myself. It's just a nervous wreck. And so they call us like 3 days. In 3 days, somebody was like, oh, we're not doing this. And they slammed us into their slot. So they're like, oh, tomorrow morning we need you. Tonight you need to fast. And tomorrow we need you into surgery. And we're going to do a biopsy. We want to see what's going on. So, I'm like, okay, all right, let's do this. So we get in there, and I swear it was like all day we were sitting there. And he says, I didn't hear from the doctor, but the doctor finally came out and said, we did a wedgectomy. We took out his upper portion of his lung, removed the main tumor. He has metastasized and it's wrapped around his heart, size of my fist, and we can't do anything with that. We're just going to immediately start radiation and chemo. Tomorrow you'll be here for chemo or radiation. Tomorrow we'll be here for radiation. We'll talk to them and get them started. So he went through all of that, finished his treatments, barely made it through, and started having an issue with his eye afterwards. And kind of afterwards, just during. And they went in, they said, oh, because he had some blood clot issues during his chemo. And so they were like, oh, we'll give you some shots and you'll be all right. It'll break it up. Take about a year. You'll be fine. So we moved past his chemo, and my third son sends me a picture, and he's like, in an ambulance. My son sends me a picture of him in an ambulance. Says, I'm okay. I'm like, first of all, it's not from a normal phone number because apparently he lost his phone and got a new phone and didn't tell me. So I'm like, who the hell is this? What the hell is going on? So apparently my son is riding his motorcycle and went to tap a car and broke his upper arm. And so he's in the process, for over a year trying to figure out what's going on with his arm because, it's been in a cast for a while and it's not healing. So now my third son has osteoceles sarcoma. And they didn't know what it was. He's going to this doctor. They've prescribed him heart medication because he's in so much pain. Apparently it drew his heart out, and it's not healing. It's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the oncologist who he was seeing in Vegas it was like well over 6 months, and they called him. We came down to see him, and we were having a talk with him, and he gets this phone call from this oncologist. The oncologist says, "Hey man, we need you to come in, and we need to do a biopsy." And my son says, "But you did a biopsy twice already." He's like, "No, we didn't get enough tissue, so we need to come in, and you need to do it again." He's like, No, we're freaking not." So he's like, "I need some better options." Well, my sister knows someone that worked at the Huntsman, and she worked her little magic, thank you, Tanya, and was able to get him in and be seen by a oncologist out over in the Huntsman in Salt Lake. Not too long after he sent over the paperwork from his first oncologist to them, they got him in and started him on chemo and diagnosed him. 3B was what he was. And just out of the blue, broke his arm, and now he's got cancer. So he finishes, and he's my mom took care of him through all of that. So I don't know what kind of scans they ran. I just knew that they had done that biopsy a couple of times, and they probably did scans. I just don't know. But my mom took care of him, and he was traveling from St. George to Salt Lake, probably like once or twice a month. And I was in Montana, so I would come in and on important dates. So first chemos or middle chemo, just certain events that I knew. He had his port placed. I wasn't here for that. He's having his port removed this week. I mean, that just goes to tell you, it's a year and a half later. Just things happen. You never know. And so we moved here, and so as you can tell, with each story, everything is different. But we got here. We were coming here because we were thinking about moving. It's cold where we were at, a retirement community / closer to the kids / better area / just so many things piled up for us to get out here. It's a way better area. Not that I don't love Montana. It's just better to be closer to family and whatnot. Each story is different, and things go in different orders. So when your doctor requests things, it could be they're looking at something that you don't know about, and ask, why are you ordering this? We have PET scans at the end of here. I skipped one. So that was my third. My fourth now is my husband's the eye thing. Turns out that it detached the retina, and the tumors grew in his eyes, and he had to have his left eye removed in December. So we are currently in battle number 4, and he got poked, and he went to a doctor, and the doctor's like, "I'm not touching that, and you need to go over here to this doctor over there, and they'll tell you what you need to do." So he went to doctor over there, and they're over there poking his eye and sticking their fingers and whatnots, Q-tips and blah blahs, and they're like, "Nope, you have to go to California. We're going to send you to California on your dime." We're like, "No, we can't afford that. We just bought a house." And so their solution was, okay, we'll compromise. We'll send you to a doctor, but it has to be approved from the VA through Salt Lake. So it finally got approved. I think it was like November. A whole year later, after we've been telling them my husband's got cancer, a whole year later, they decide they're going to say, okay, we're going to let you see someone. And sure enough, he had lost his entire sight in that eye. And so they had to remove it. Nothing further they could do. So they decide, well, you've got those tumors in your eye. We want to see if you have any other ones. So we're going to send you to an oncologist. So oncology orders a special PET scan that only can be done in Salt Lake. So we have to travel 6 hours to Salt Lake for a PET scan. We get it done, and they call us in, and they tell us that it is in 27 locations in his body. And like his first doctor said, if you aren't cured this first round, there is nothing further we can do. We get in there and the doctor says, what we're going to do is we're going to start you on a trial. And it just was FDA approved. And it's just to prolong your life. And we're just here to make your end of life as comfortable as possible. And that's what we're doing. So, get your lists, take them with you, make them your buddy, because not every person is the same. And pack them along with you, because you never know what'll happen. You never know if you'll be on a road trip or you're going to the 7-Eleven to get yourself Slurpee and something happens. You never know. Just welcome to the roller coaster. Just hold on tight. And I just want to send y'all love, peace, hope, and have some fun in your roller coaster ride. Scream if you have to. Hit a wall. I don't know. But you know what? There's nothing you can do but hold on tight. So I hope this all reaches you well. And tell me your stories. I want to hear how you kill it every day. How that worked out for you. Is your pathway the same as mine? Let me know. And thank you for joining me. You guys have a good day.